Sometimes I like to go kind of back in time a little bit and revisit some really cool sets that we haven't talked about in a while. Now, Modern Horizons 1 right here was the first set of the series of Modern Horizons that came out in June 2019, so just about 6 years ago. And I'd love to rip one of these open and kind of just talk about it and how great this set really was and how it spawned a nice series of sets, including Modern Horizons 1, 2, and 3. So Modern Horizons 3 came out this past year, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And that was, I love these old boxes. See, these are cool too. This is how you know it's an old box, when it has this awesome display. Very cool. They don't make these anymore like this. They just take up way too much room. But I mean, that on a countertop of like an LGS is super cool. So yeah, I remember when this set came out, and I was a pretty new player back into the game after my 20-year hiatus with Magic when this came out. So I really enjoyed playing this. Foil Soldier Token. Oh, the art. I think this was the very first set with art cards, and the very. It's a phallic island. Let's just be honest about it. It's what it is. Ayula, the Queen Among Bears. Let's see. There are some uncommons and commons to look for. I'm not going to spend too much time going through them, but slivers, things like that. But there is obviously the Ephemerate is the big one, the big common to look for. The Changeling, but also lots of good rares and mythics to go for. But yeah, this set came out, and this was actually the last set to come out before Snow-Covered Forest. Before Throne of Eldraine, which was the collector box era. Conjuring right there. Soul Herder, that's a good uncommon, actually. That's worth pulling. I think it's worth like a couple bucks. So it's good to keep track of. Ephemerate, there it is. Yeah, these are worth like $2 or $3. So yeah, this came out. So this is basically, well, Core 20, I think Core 2020 is technically the very last set before collector boxes, but this is pretty much right there as well. So, Snow-Covered Mountain. So nice you get snow-covered in every single pack. Miss Syndicate Naga for your rare. Let's see, Golem, Mastercore, Firebolt. And it was basically the last one, so the foils actually matter. This is one of the last few sets where there is a good foil multiplier. People don't realize that with certain sets like this, that's actually really worth checking your foils for what you have. Snow-Covered Swamp, very nice. Foil common, Weather the Storm. Not a big one, but still a foil common. Fallen Shinobi, Slivers, or Flames, Trinket Mages. That's a good, actually, pullable uncommon to look for later on. Yeah, this came out and it was an absolute home run set. This was open like crazy. Everyone absolutely loved it. And it was the first introduction of Renin 6. Now, I mean, Renin 6, when that first came out, that was a huge card. I think that's peak was about $100 for that hit in the set. Snow-Covered Island again, very nice. Myriad Besiege for my rare Slivers and other things in there. But yeah, I remember that was a huge hit. And actually, the foil was so rare and so sought after, again, because foils mattered in this set. I think it demanded a price of like, I think around $300. Snow-Covered Plains. Cordial Vampire, very cool. Slivers. More slivers, lots of slivers. Venomous Changeling, yeah. And it was, I remember I was in LGS one time, just buying random packs. I was over in Cape Cod on vacation in Massachusetts. And the guy, I was buying a couple packs, Snow-Covered Forest, and a foil rare, Astral Drift, nice. Again, foils have just a nice multiplier in the set. It's a great thing to find. And our Silent Clearing. Take those lands. Very good. And I remember he wanted one so bad. This is a store owner. Like, he wanted one of those so bad. Changeling Outcast. That's a pullable right there for a common. That's actually Lavador. I think that's like a $12 foil common, believe it or not. It's nuts how some of those multipliers can be. But he was offering, I think, $300 cash, like straight up, like what the full value was if someone could find it, because he really wanted one for a deck and he couldn't get one. Snow-Covered Swamp, that's just how hard they were. Giver of Runes, very nice rare. Always take those. And it's nice to revisit these sometimes. The Outcast, always pull those. And just kind of see these old sets, because they really are fantastic. They got a different look, they got a different feel. And I appreciate the older sets where foils really do matter. The art cards. I wish they would stop doing the art cards. I mean, I think it was like a cool thing at first, but then after a while, everyone's like, all right, it's just kind of taking up room. Snow-Covered, look at that. And again, so if this was way back in the day, I mean, that was like a $100 hit. It would cover half the price of the box. Now I think it's like 25, 30, something like that. Still an amazing hit. I mean, I'm super happy to have it. I'll take it. Awesome. First mythic of the box. And nothing else there. But yeah, so Modern Horizons 1, or people even joked it was like, Commander Horizons. Of course, when you have like any kind of master set or things like this, everyone jokes it's all about Commander. Snow-Covered Mountain, Foil, Common, Veteran, and Eldamri's Call. Great hit right there. Again, hits like that, they cover the cost of the pack, which is nice. But they always say it's kind of like Commander Horizons because there's a bunch of Commander cards. And now even more so because, after this, obviously we had Modern Horizons 2 and we had Modern Horizons 3. And they're both absolutely phenomenal sets. Merit Lage's Slumber. Very cool. And, oh, nice Ephemerate. We'll pull those. And again, it's one of those things where Modern Horizons, all 3 sets they made were absolutely incredible. You can't deny the fact that, like, none of the 3 sets were even mediocre. They were all absolutely incredible. Snow-Covered Island again, and a Mythic. Mythic number 2 of the box, the Hex Drinker. This one's pretty sweet, the way you level it up, start with 1 mana. Cool. Scale up, chosen, exclude. Slivers. I used to play Slivers. I think everyone at one point has played Slivers, or they wanted to. I think after you do it for a little while, and you're like, okay, I get it, and you just don't want to do it again. It's like you get it out of your system and you're fine. Snow-Covered Plains and Sun-Baked Canyon. Very cool. Off-center stamp a little bit, but nice. Slivers, Worms, Augurs, and that's it. Yeah, I think like once you play Slivers, you realize it's oppressive. No one really likes it. You kind of get it out of your system. Then you're like, okay, I'll move on to the next thing. Break your deck down and never play it again. Snow-Covered Island, very nice. And your foil uncommon, Gleaner. To say the Weatherlight Captain, very cool. The Sandbar, the Devil, Giant. Yeah, it's funny because like when you go back, I can't believe this is 6 years old now. This is just a few months after I got back into Magic after a 20-year break. And seeing a set like this, the power level was very, very good and you know, a push for the time. Snow-Covered Forest, foil common Slivers. And again, any foils have a multiplier, so probably pretty good. Aria of Flame. Generous Gift, always a good community card. Talismans are nice. Any Ephemerates or Changelings? No. And this was definitely a push in power. I remember when Urza, the Urza in this set first came out, and it was a huge push, and everyone wanted it. Speaking of Urza, there's the art card right there. Snow-Covered Swamp and the Force of Despair, part of the Force cycle. There's 5 of those in there. Obviously, Force of Negation being the big one we're looking for. But yeah, it's funny because how I was saying how sets like the prices move with different metas and different sets came out and everything changes. It's amazing. I was surprised when I looked at the price of the Ren and 6. Again, speaking of Ren and 6, there it is. The foil card. How much has gone down? Snow-Covered Plains and your Cloud Shredder Sliver. Again, I don't play Slivers anymore. I had my Sliver deck for a while. I really enjoyed it, but the problem was I forget. I always forget the name of it because I broke it down like 2 years ago. Whatever Sliver is the one that tutored up other Slivers. I forget which one it was. I used that as my commander. So the problem was every game felt like I was just looking for answers all the time. Winds of Abandon, good hit right there. I'll take those. Talismans are always nice. Slivers. All right, so that's the first half of the box right there. Let's go to the second half. Yeah, it's always cool. And it's funny. So I was looking at the price of these boxes. This is actually my last sealed one I had. Snow-Covered Swamp and the Unsettled Mariner. Bastion, Unicorn, and a Changeling. I was looking at prices of these boxes because I was curious. It's something I kind of regularly sell on my Whatnot show. I always have a couple boxes available. And I was like, I just want to open a box of these for myself, which I haven't done in a really long time. And so I figured I would and try to talk about it here. Snow-Covered Forest and the Cabal Therapist. Strix, Changelings, nothing in the back. But I was looking at the price of these because I haven't had to buy a few boxes in a while, and they're only $200, like $205 on pretty much the eBays or TCG players. And if you're paying tax, maybe it's a little bit more Prismatic art, Prismatic Vista art card. That's a great one right there. A lot of Snow-Covered Islands. I'll take those. Mythics, Sarah the Benevolent. Very nice. We'll take three good Mythics so far. Sarah Benevolent, Hex Drinker, and the Ren and 6. So we'll take that. Very nice. Aura Flame, Lieutenants, and the Djinn. Slivers, of course. Changeling Outcasts, take those. Spore Frog, I loved putting that in Kenrith. That was brutal. But yeah, seeing these for about $205. Again, if you're paying tax, it's like maybe $215, $220. Now I looked on the MTG Visualizer, Snow-Covered Forest, and on Thin Ice. What was amazing was they were showing the estimated value, Changing Outcast again, the estimated value of this set, and it was $257 at the recording of this. Today is Sunday, April 27th, I think. Yeah, I'm going to call it the 27th. And so basically, it's got an inverted EV, Snow-Covered Swamp, and Pastoralic Mons. Pillage, nice Talisman, and anything else in here? But I noticed that like when I was doing that video about the 30th anniversary countdown kit, and I noticed that was an inverted EV as well as this too. So it's really interesting, and I'm sure it's because like Ranger Captain of ES, I know one of the Mythics has popped up a lot lately. Scrapyard Recombiner. The Fools, the Sandbar, Revelation, and that's definitely a big push in value. But overall, the cards in the set itself, there's some really good hits. I mean, Force Negation is only a rare in here. I'm hoping to at least get one. It's not a Mythic. Snow-Covered Mountain and the Lightning Skelemental. Slivers, Rats, the Guardian. And plus, like I said, when you have the foil multiplier, that's always nice. You can get some like foil commons and uncommons worth like $10, $15 if you hit the right ones. Soul Hoarder art card, another Snow-Covered Island, we'll take those, and the Spiteful Sliver, Regrowth, Step, and the Reflection. So yeah, definitely a set that it's worth looking at. I'm sure a lot of newer players that only been playing the past few years, you know about Modern Horizons 2 and 3, but I don't know if people know enough to look back at some of the older sets like this and really revisit them and enjoy them. Ranger Captive EOS Art card, Snow Covered Forest, and the Astral Drift. We had that for foil rare earlier. Talismans, Tribes. So this is just kind of my way of like just showing people like how good these older sets are, and that every once in a while you could just go back and revisit something like this. They're not crazy expensive. They're not overpriced. There's a lot of really good cards in them. Snow Covered Mountain, Foil Uncommon, Splicer Skill, and the Hall of Helios Generosity. Everdream the Expert. Slivers. So many slivers. But, you know, with so many products and all that, everyone looks forward to a new thing. We talked about Tarkir, Dragonstorm. We're talking about Final Fantasy. But every once in a while, just go back and relive something like this. A lot of snow-covered islands. I'll take them. And Waterlogged Grove. Good lands. But for a cheaper price, you can revisit a set that's 6 years old, has some really good stuff in it, and enjoy it. I'm sure a lot of people don't have a lot of these MH1 cards in their collection. And it's worth it. It really is. Snow Covered Forest, Goblin Engineer, great hit there. Divinity, Rebuild, and the more. I like older sets too, where there actually is pickable commons and uncommons. Because sometimes, I mean, you might get like a bulk rare, but if you pull like a couple cool uncommons or a couple cool commons, it gets a little more value in the pack, and it's worth it. Crashing Footfalls for the rare. Talismans are always nice. The Decoy, Grifter, and nope, nothing there. Lots and lots of slivers. About 5 packs left or so. So yeah, I encourage people, like, take a look at these old sets. Like, go through, like, MTG Visualizer. Look at some sets. Even if you're just looking for value, Snow Covered Swamp, and Sword of Sinew and Steel. Wow, I got 4 Mythics, and they've all been fantastic. That's awesome. I'll take that. Chaos, Soul Herder, and the Rider. But go back and revisit some old sets, because sometimes you get good deals on them, Ephemerate. Nice. And while everyone's focused on the new stuff and money's all heading there, you realize people have these old boxes that maybe they just want to get rid of them. And you can have a really good time drafting them. Snow Covered Island and your Plague Engineer. Blow, Sliver, King of the Pride. But just because it's not the new set, it's not the crazy new hype thing, doesn't mean it's not good. And this, I think, is a perfect example of a set that I think came out. It was phenomenal. And the boxes are just holding this $200 price, which I think is a steal right now. Snow Covered Plains, Force of Rage. We're getting 2 of the forces, but not the ones we want. Tribute Mage, that's a pullable, obviously. Well, a couple packs left. Let's see. 2 packs. Do I get a Force Negation? It's only a rare. I hope I get 1. But I had 4 Mythics, and they've all been really good. Let's see. Sliver Art card, Snow Covered Mountain, and the Foil Common Pondering Mage, and Genesis for the rare. Matron, Nest, Mastercore. No other pullables. All right, last pack magic. So again, if it's something that you've never experienced before, or maybe you haven't experienced it in the past 6 years because there's been so many things coming out, revisit it, honestly, for this price. Eventually, these boxes will go up higher. They will become more expensive, and they'll be unobtainable. Ice Fang Codal, Tree Folk Cultivator. No Force and Negation, unfortunately. But you know what? I got some really good mythics, so I'm happy with that. Let's thumb through this real quick as a reminder of what I got. And of course, all the little foils. I'm going to have to scan those later and see. I'll put the foils on top. I'll check those later. Love the little Ephemerates. Sword of Sinew and Steel. Very nice. Yeah, 4 Mythics. So not a super lot, but I'll take every single one of them. They were great. Love that Renin 6 in the beginning. That was super cool. Changeling, Sarah. Nice. How many foils did I get? See, old sets like this, too, you don't get a million foils. You get a few. That's why they hold some value. Nowadays, they just print so much of everything. Actually, so many cards nowadays. The non-foil versions can be worth more than the foil ones. How many foils do we get? Is this it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foils in the whole box. That's how the older sets were. So they hold their price. So yeah, if you want to revisit something that's a little different that you're not used to, and you've done your MH3 and maybe even revisit MH2, check out MH1. It's a phenomenal set. I think it's really amazing.